Kyle Rittenhouse is slated to appear on Tucker Carlson tonight. Here's a preview of that interview.
This case has nothing to do with race. It never had anything to do with race. It had to do with the right to self-defense.
Right.
I'm not a racist person. I support the BLM movement. I support peacefully demonstrating.
Fox News anchored a Tucker Carlson Originals documentary to air on Fox Nation in December that will include behind-the-scenes footage of Rittenhouse's defense team during his trial. Rittenhouse's defense attorney, Mark Richards, said Friday that he threw Fox News host Tucker Carlson's crew out of the room several times while they were filming footage for a documentary about the teen during his trial.
Interesting. We'll have to see what is actually contained in there. It doesn't, surprise me. So was that interview conducted? That was after the verdict, though, right? Yeah, it makes sense to. I can see why he would give an interview after the verdict. I can't imagine the defense attorney wanted him saying much before, as the trial's ongoing, or that Rittenhouse would have been in necessarily even an emotional state to sort of, he had to reserve his mental faculties for his testimony, et cetera. So we'll have to see what they came up with.
Well, I think they were following him around. It was a documentary, and so they were kind of filming the entire, trial and everything that was going on. And so, obviously an attorney would kick people out of the room when they're going to have some pretty sensitive conversations. So, that makes a lot of sense that would happen. I know that there were a lot of people that were really kind of questioning why was Fox News allowed to follow him around, whereas then MSNBC, they got banned from court after one of their reporters or producers was apparently trying to follow the jury. Did you guys hear?
That was a call on the judges. The judge made that call, Judge Schroeder. Yeah. Which I don't know anything more about that. I was sort of inherently a little skeptical of it because I don't like the idea of judges telling media outlets not to cover things or not to do things. But it's possible the MSNBC person was being really obnoxious or egregious, maybe, but I don't know.
He claimed he ran a red light or something. It was so weird.
That seems stupid.
It sounded like a cranky old man, not making any sense.
I've disagreed with much of the characterization of the judge as biased, but that one I didn't quite agree with that one.
Right.
Well, if it was happening, I could understand, trying to out or dox a jury is definitely, that cannot happen versus Fox News being invited or Tucker Carlson being invited by the defense team and Kyle Rittenhouse to follow and make a documentary. That's an entirely different thing. Everybody knows who Kyle Rittenhouse is. He's not going to dox him and out the defendant, but outing the jury is a big deal in a case like this. So, but go ahead, Ryan.
No, I was just saying he certainly had a right to do it, but it's a window into how our culture is getting so kind of reality televisionified that it almost feels like a first impulse for a lot of people who find themselves in national celebrity one way or another, that I guess I just have to have cameras following me around now. It's like the poster's disease. He famously had that one, an Instagram post who said, "I'm just trying to be famous." That's like him and tens of millions of other, people
everybody's
his age. That just that's their view of how you do things.
I'm curious. Do you think that this interview will do something to benefit Kyle Rittenhouse, as far as rehabbing his image? Or I'm sure he's sitting there thinking, how is he going to go on in life, living with half the country hating him? That's got to be a very challenging thing for somebody his age to think about, very daunting. Do you think that this is going to somehow change the minds of anybody?
Well, I don't think we know yet, but not immediately, but there are multiple paths in front of him. And, one completely unexpected and unlikely path, but not out of the realm of possibility, would be to jump into criminal justice reform.
Yes.
And he talked about prosecutorial misconduct, and people make fun of this, but it's the truth that the best way to get powerful people, and he wasn't powerful before, but he is now, to care about the criminal justice system is to have them be part of it, from the business end. That's how you you get so many different, some of the leading figures of the criminal justice movement in the 80s were people who went to jail as a result of Watergate and experienced going to prison, and meeting people along the way that also experienced that type of injustice. So that path exists. The fact that he went to Tucker Carlson suggests the other path, which is kind of a populist right-wing and kind of lean into the hero status that people are trying to, I think, quite inappropriately elevate him to. And I would understand why psychologically he that would be a more comfortable place to go, but the other one would be much more interesting and probably do a lot more good for the world.
And what he said in that brief clip that we've been able to see, that did not preclude close off either of those paths, but he made a very reasonable statement about prosecutorial misconduct. I think that would be. If he wants to have a public role in sort of the public dialogue, and he is under no expectation to do that. I think if he wants to just go back quietly and exit the spotlight, that is a absolutely valid choice. But if he does want to have this public profile, yes, being a spokesperson for Miranda rights, for getting rid of mandatory minimums, for things of that nature would be. I think that'd be a great thing.
Stacked charges, over prosecution. Yeah. There's all sorts of things where he could make links with BLM, with the criminal justice movement. Now, there are people who have been in the criminal justice movement long enough that they have understood the value of working with people on the right. And working with people on the right often means you're going to have to work with people who either have odious views on other things that you care about, or got to the place that they are because of something odious that they did that got them tangled up with the criminal justice system. But there are people in the movement who are willing to work with those people for the common objective. That would by no means be a majority at this point.
Well, in a tirade against Fox News as a whole, CNN's Jim Acosta called out Tucker Carlson as the BS Factory Employee of the Year. He used the full word. This is media on media attack. Couldn't we give that designation to Jim Acosta? I'm sure.
Yes.
It's a very competitive prize.
That this whole, it's so interesting to me to see, and really unprofessional, quite frankly. But then again, I think, well, maybe we do it here all the time. But for CNN and Fox News, they're always going at each other. They're CNN's trying to get Tucker Carlson taken off the air, and Tucker Carlson makes fun of the people on CNN all the time. And it's almost like they got into a room together and they decided to do this so that they could create, more media fodder.
It's entertainment. Let's have some sort of it's not always news. It's news and entertainment.
And that's their libel defense. When they wind up in court, their defamation defense, whether it's Tucker, whether it's Rachel Maddow, anybody, this is entertainment. People aren't supposed to believe us.
But you're supposed to believe us. We are not entertained. We like to have you be entertained and enjoy watching us, but we're giving you our actual thoughts, what we actually think on these subjects.
I'm not even trying to entertain.
That comes across at times, Ryan.
I know.
Well, tomorrow on Rising, we have another great show for you all. Jennifer Holdsworth-Karp, Rachel Bovard are here for Team Rising.
And Matt Taibbi joins us to dissect the media's handling of the Rittenhouse trial.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss a video, and we will see you guys tomorrow.
Right.
Bye-bye.
See you then.